and the fact that lying doesn't always have to come from somebody else. You can actually lie to yourself and induce a response, which is bizarre. What's this? Saw a video. There was an ant on the ground next to a small bit of water that spilled on the ground. Yeah. Which one of the 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Right, let's start going inwards a bit now. Someone took their finger and dragged the water around the ant in a large circle, and the water followed around the ant. Yeah, flowed around it, not followed. It's bloody glass. Well, it's not the glasses now. It's just I keep like sitting back for a second and I can't read it properly, and then my brain's like, "Oh, that's what it says," even though it really doesn't. I was actually using this analogy with my granddaughter the other night, because she's very scared when she goes to bed. She's afraid of being on her own. She's afraid of being away from mum and dad, and then she's afraid of the monsters and stuff. So the ant ran around trying to escape it. When it encountered the water, it changed directions looking for a way out. Yeah, exactly. It just goes round and round in circles, and that is literally how I felt when I was suffering with panic attacks really badly. And no matter how hard you try to rationalize it and say like, well, this isn't real, this isn't going to do this, this isn't going to do this, the panic and the fear that you physically feel is just so overwhelming. And it takes a very strong person to just turn around and ignore it. It's like, just to give some kind of idea, right? For me, to try and ignore panic attacks, which I wasn't able to do. In the end, I got the right tablets, as you know, to be able to calm them down to the point of where they've almost stopped. Well, in actual fact, they have stopped.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, I know. I'm going to be reading it. So the ant ran around trying to escape. When it encountered the water, it changed direction. As the little ant ran around frantically, the person drew another line closer, making the dry air small. Yeah, making it smaller. There, perfect. Now, that was it. Eventually, the water got closer and closer until it had nowhere else to run. Okay, or nowhere to run. Why did I add the else? I don't understand why I add words that are clear. At that point, the little ant had no choice but to dive into the water. And surprisingly, the little ant was able to swim through the water to safety and dry land on the other side to run to freedom. Yeah. This was a 13. So any more 13s? Nope, I believe 13s will be over there. So no matter how daunting the task, sometimes you just have to dive through and come out of that person on the other side. Yeah, no, exactly. And the thing is that I understand that, and yes, it is true, right? The problem for me is that the analogy works, and I'm sure that will work, you know, for anybody who's suffering and whatever else, right? I'm sure it will. But it's funny because when you mention, or when these I don't want to call them stories, but when these examples, there we go, when they come up, it's always like, you know, there was something seemingly innocuous going to happen to you, right? Or a little bit terrifying or unnerving, right? And then if you just faced it, you would be fine afterwards. And as somebody who has suffered with panic attacks, severe panic attacks, right, for quite a few years, and then because of these tablets now, I don't anymore. I kind of want to put a little spin on it. So imagine a panic attack is a game of Russian roulette, right? And you're sat at this table and there's the firearm in front of you, and you've spun the chamber, and there is a bullet in it, for argument's sake, and let's call this bullet the anxiety bullet, right? Most people that are not got anxiety know that there's no bullet in the gun, right? But imagine for a second that you genuinely think that there is a bullet in the gun, right? And imagine this is a real scenario. And then it honestly feels like everybody's telling you, oh, there's no bullet in the gun. You're fine. Even though when you pick the gun up, to you, the gun feels heavier. To you, the gun feels completely real, right? And to you, there is 100% bullet in there because of the way it's making you feel, right? Then put that gun to your head and then pull the trigger, and then everything's going to be fine because there's not going to be a bullet in. Now, it's the same story as what you just told, right? But it seems to hit home a little bit more of how terrifying it is to be able to do it. It's the same analogy, but it's not as easy as what people kind of think it is. And to be able to take that leap of faith is just, it's probably one of the most difficult things I've ever done. And in all honesty, I haven't really done it. I just got help with medication to be able to live through it. You absolutely get, and it's like when you hear it kind of put that way, it just makes it sound like it's so obvious, and it's like, oh well. But you see, the thing is that you would credit me, jokes aside for a second, right? You'd credit me with a modicum of intelligence, right? I'm not a stupid person. So, I've had enough panic attacks and survived them to know that the panic attack isn't going to kill me, right? And I know that as an intelligent person. I know that in my head and in my heart that I'm not going to die from it. But when you're actually having these real feelings in your body, right, how can you just ignore them and say, oh, it'll pass, it's fine, you're okay? Because to me, it's like, okay, it's a panic attack. I know it's not going to, why isn't it stopping? Why isn't it going anywhere? Why am I still feeling like this? That's the worst part of it. And I just feel like from the outside looking in, and I'm not popping at you, Pitbull. I'm just kind of giving my perspective on it, right? From the outside looking in, right, for somebody without any kind of mental health issues or panic attacks or whatever else. To you guys, it's like, well, for God's sake, look, it's a panic attack. You're not going to die. All you got to do is know you're not going to die, and then you'll be fine, right? Because it's such a simple and easy solution to a problem, right? And then people genuinely get frustrated with it. It's like, well, it's only a panic attack. But trust me, having a panic attack isn't, oh, it's only just a panic attack. It is life-changing, and I can say that because my life has completely changed since I've had them. And I just think that there's a lot of disinformation out there, and there's a lot of there's a lot of unfeeling, especially within like the mental health sector of the NHS. And I want to clarify something here. What I mean by that is that you have these nurses that deal with mental health patients on a daily basis. And then because the outcomes are always the same, technically speaking, right, they've lost their empathy for what the person's going through because they've seen it all before. And they're like, oh, just stop it. Just stop it. Just stop it. Just do it. And it's like each individual person is going through that particular thing right there and then. And it doesn't matter whether or not that it's fake, you know, to you, because not, and I don't mean fake as in somebody like saying that they've got it and they really haven't. I mean, it's fake because nothing's going to happen to you. That's what I mean. So, you know, instead of like getting bored or frustrated and it's, oh, just do this and that's it, you know, actually let everyone know. Treat everybody like the first person you cured. You know, I know it's difficult for you, you know, because to you it's easy, you know, oh, we're gonna go through these 2 or 3 weeks and they're gonna follow what we say and they're gonna be fine afterwards, and then they're gonna be like, oh, thank you so much for helping, and then on to the next one. But don't start taking it for granted that you're right. Because, like in the case of me, for argument's sake, they actually threw me off of the mental health team, right, to help me out. And it turns out that I do have something wrong with me. And had I have sat back and just thought it was all in my head, what could have happened to me? As someone who's never actually had one, but had several people close to me that have, I can say absolutely, I can say I can absolutely empathise with how it must feel and how real it is in the moment. From what I understand, it's all about learning how to force yourself to mitigate them. Yeah, when they do happen. And this is what I was doing for years. I was watching films, TV series, playing a game, and listening to a podcast all at the same time to just literally drown myself out. And then I would sit back and I would use one of them poppets and I'd count the poppets while I was listening and watching all of this sort of stuff because I had to. And then my panic attacks, like people assume that panic attacks only go on for like 10, 20 minutes. You know, I had panic attacks that would last up to 2 hours and beyond. And then like I'd get over one and then I'd have another one a couple of minutes later. And then that one would go on. It was awful. Absolutely awful. And then like I said to them that it's the medication that I'm on. Nobody would listen. I was left on the medication for like 4 years, and in the end I started banging on doors, and I was not going to be turned away, and my missus wasn't going to be turned away either. We really fought tooth and nail. And then I got a psychologist or a psychiatrist, whichever one that does that knows about the drugs and stuff. And then, as I've explained this to you before, like when he walked in and see me and whatever else, and he changed my tablets, and literally overnight, within a couple of weeks, I was able to get some part of my life back. I just think that there's not enough known about this, and there's a lot of stigma, and there's a lot of people that think, oh well, you know, it's just a panic attack, he's going to be fine, we don't have to worry about it. Well, you do have to worry about it, because trust me, if this was happening to you, you'd worry about it. I and anybody else that suffers with panic attacks or suffered with them, we didn't do it for sympathy, we didn't do it for attention. You can believe me on that. Right, and all that comes down to the lack of knowledge. Yes, it does. It absolutely does. But a lack of knowledge is one of the biggest problems in this world right now. In just about every walk of life. Actually, except for one particular walk of life. But I'm not putting my conspiracy theory tinfoil hat today. I did some research into what we was talking about yesterday, Pitbull. Turns out it's a very grey area with not a lot of definitive information on it. Isn't that weird? Like, I can find out a lot about any kind of subject, except that one. Well, go figure. How, how did that happen? Anyway, what else you got planned for today, buddy? After work, you gonna do anything fun? I keep trying to put on what do you call it, Wreckfest, to see whether or not I can actually sit and play it. Honestly, I get through like a race and that's it. You know, even when I've played like with Don and the rest of them on stream, I'm like 1 or 2 races and that's it for me. I just cannot. I can't do it. It's getting on my nerves now because I really want to play it. I was even getting to the same kind of thing with Crossout. That's why I haven't really played that with Don. I want to play Euro Truck Sim as well. You know, there's loads of stuff I want to do. But I'm going to stop focusing on the stuff that I can't do and start focusing on the stuff that I can do, which is why I'm doing more paint by numbers now. And starting to watch a bit of TV series. And then I'm just keeping my hand in, playing a few games, still talking to people, not allowing to shut myself down. Because I'm a bubbly person and I thrive off of knowing other people and talking to them and stuff. Makes me happy, so I want to continue to keep doing that, even talking to you. I mean, someone's got to do it, right? Oh, what's this? A lack of knowledge is also a large contributing factor to why around 90% of unborn children, like people junior, are not allowed to be born. Yep. Yeah, that's terrible. It is. He's such a little cute. He really is. He's got his own little personality. You know, he's... They say everything happens for a reason, but, you know, reason is there for that. Actually, he is a stinker, yeah. What was it? I was watching Castlevania earlier, right? And then obviously there's lots of religion in that because of being Dracula and whatever else. So none of the comments I'm about to make are mine. It just made me think, right? This guy was turning around saying he used to work for the church, or he used to be a priest or something, and he was wearing a symbol for hell or something, right? And then he was talking to this other guy, and he turned around and this other guy said to him, "You do realise that that's a symbol for hell?" And he was like, yeah. He said, "Oh, I'm really grateful for it, to have this symbol." And he said, "But that's bad, isn't it?" And then he said something which I found really profound, right? As you all know, I'm not a religious person. I just want to preface this before I say I'm not a religious person. But he said, God created everything, right? And he said, that means hell as well. And everything that God created has been there for a reason. So there is no such thing as a bad creation. And I honestly, I sat back for a minute and I was like, wow. Okay, answer that one. You know, because nothing he said was incorrect. It's true. Apparently everything that God's created is supposed to be, you know, amazing and wonderful, and you know, it's all part of his or her plan, whichever you want to believe that he's, you know, the Almighty. And it just kind of it was like I'd never looked at it that way personally. Not that I want to get into a religious debate or anything, anybody. I'm not doing that, so don't immediately like.
You look a bit parched. Why don't you take a drink?
Hey, Offspring, how you doing, buddy? Thank you very much. It just, I don't know. It just kind of got me to thinking, like, well, how do you explain that one away, if that's the case? Because you can't just pick and choose what you want to believe, right? You either believe or you don't, from what I understand of religion. And as I said, I'm not a religious person. This was just something that was sparked off me thinking whilst watching a TV show on Netflix. So there are no, you know, foundations for what I'm saying here. I'm not trying to indoctrinate anybody. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. I'm just saying what I saw and how I reacted to it, and I'm asking opinion. Isn't it horrible that you've got to do that these days? Like, protect yourself. Just for asking a question. But anyway, what was this? I actually have a different perspective on that particular subject. This is a little unorthodox. I'm good. You? Yeah, I'm not doing too bad today, buddy. Thank you for asking. I've set myself out a few things that I want to get done today. They're not huge goals in life, but they are just some kind of goal, and I'm halfway through it, believe it or not. So the way I look at it is no matter how I'm feeling today, it's still been a winner, and I'm good with that. And oh, hang a minute. And you got that perspective from watching TV show on Netflix? What perspective? If I missed something, I actually have a different perspective on that particular subject. It's a little unorthodox. Yeah, I did. Well, oh, you talk about what I said. Like I said that. Yeah, I did. I got that perspective from watching a TV show on Netflix. But it wasn't necessarily the TV show on Netflix. It was just what he was saying. I just sat there and thought about it, rather than just taking it as a line in a TV show or a film or whatever else. I actually sat back and just thought about it. And it was like, oh yeah, that's kind of weird. Yet we're all supposed to be scared of hell and scared of this and scared of that and whatever else. But yeah, I don't know. It just made me think. That was all. Strange. Very strange. I'm guessing that I'm either over or just coming up to the hour mark, because I'm sorry to keep doing this to you all, but I can feel it getting more and more unbearable. What are we on there? 50? Yeah, 53. I've got a bit left in me. I'm not going yet, so. I don't want anybody to think that like I'm all in for just deep, meaningful conversations and whatever. I think knowledge is a very important thing, and differences of opinion are healthy and good for us. You know, I don't think that any subject should be taboo to not be spoken about, you know, from whomever's perspective. I think once we start to, you know, to censor everything, that's when we lose our true freedom. And I'm not no warrior or whatever else, or, you know, whatever you want to call me. I'm just an ordinary person that just believes in this. Oh, had Papa weighted 22 kilograms. Jeez. You wouldn't want that banding on top of you at night, would you? Coming to bed like, poof. I'm taking up this much in the bed tonight, and you've got no bloody say in it. I never finished breaking things. So this will involve another wall of text, but let me explain thoughts here on that subject. Yeah, of course. He's a cuddle monster. He lies on my chest. Jeez, I never finished breaking things. Right, what we got here? I've got. Let's get that number 12 done because there's a small one up there, and I know I'm just going to end up forgetting. So we'll get that done there. And I've just noticed there's a bit of black or blue paint there that I need to go over with some white. So yeah. There. Brilliant. There. Mark, did you ever watch TV show? Right, okay, I watched 1 or 2 episodes of it, and then I don't know what happened to me as to why I stopped it. So all I can tell you is that I don't know of a reason why I didn't watch it. All I know is I know I watched an episode or 2. But if you think it's worth watching, then I will add it to my list and I will make sure that I watch it. Like I said to you, I'm doing stuff now that I need to get through, which is why I'm going to get through Castlevania and then do my little lists every day for stuff. Let's put it here. And oh, dinner. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so I've got a bit of time. Yeah. Good. Oh, that'll do. I'll put it there. I've just had my dinner turn up. I'm having a pizza tonight. Thank you. My beautiful wife just bringing me dinner. Got a nice home cooked deep pan cheese pizza. Right, what have I got to do now to finish up this area? I've got 11, 16s, 1s. Right, okay. I needed to do the one here because of that blue bit. And it's not blue, it's white. Let's get rid of that. There we go. Problem averted. Excuse me. That needs to go over. There's a little bit of yeah, better. That. Got to concentrate a little bit here because going over the darker colours with the lighter colours, it just makes it. You can see it's obviously gone over. And if you put a nice edge on it, it looks a lot nicer. Perfect. I will look up the chat. I'll way too much chat in a sec. There. Is that all the ones? I think it is. Yeah. What's this, Mark? I actually really like the way they explained hell in that show, and when you fully realise how they set it up, it really matches up with what you were saying about things of a purpose. Right. Okay. So you right? Fine. That's good enough for me. Then I shall watch the show. I will watch the show. 3. Let's do that. One there. 3 there. And then I believe we're just on 16 then, which is this light. Oh, I better make sure that's cleaned completely. Yeah, bushes. Perfect. And this paint's perfect now that I've done it. I've also learned another little tip, and that is to just don't spread the paint so thin. Like once it's been, watered down a bit, which seems kind of obvious to me now. Basically, according to that show, hell is a place where you relieve your most horrible sins due to the guilt your soul feels for commuting them. By the end of the show, Lucifer, from being a tormentor to a therapist, helps people forgive themselves and finds peace. When they're able to do that, they're able to ascend to heaven. Wow, that's pretty deep, isn't it? Because let's face it, we all have dark faults. We all do stuff sometimes that we're not really meant to do. Even down to the mundane, to the more serious. We all do something wrong. It's an interesting way of looking at it, actually. Which would then lend credence to what I was saying earlier on, as you said, that it was part of the plan to have it. I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast, and he turned around and said about the Bible and whatever else, and he was saying that the burning bush and stuff, there was only one person that see it, and he said, well, how do you know that he wasn't on mushrooms at the time? And I kind of laughed for a second, and thinking like, you're on mushrooms, and then it's like, but it's possible because they grew back then. And who knows if he actually did see a burning bush, or it was just a hallucinogenic effect from eating a mushroom. Because, somebody had to have eaten it first of all that died to know that you shouldn't eat them. And then somebody had to have eaten that to see that it had this effect and you survived. So, yeah, and then it's like I've always turned around and said, history is written by the survivors or the winners, because usually the winners are the survivors. Which makes me sound like I'm all up in this conspiracy theory thing, and I don't think it's a conspiracy theory. I just think it's another explanation for something that isn't just universally rammed down your throat. It's another possibility. However likely or unlikely, it's still another possibility. And why are some people so afraid of listening to other possibilities? I understand if they would be acted upon and they were incorrect and whatever else, I get that. But why are people vilified for listening to another possibility? Who knows? Oh, when I said I'd finished the unicorn the other day, I actually think that little bit there was the top part of the unicorn, so I hadn't. So I lied. I apologised, everybody. I've just finished the unicorn. Dear. But I have tied all of that area together, which was kind of my plan for this. Yeah, please don't judge anything that I've turned around and said anyone that may be watching out there, you know, I'm not a religious nut. I'm not a tinfoil hat wearing brigade, as they're called, or whatever else. I just like to hear all explanations and draw my own conclusions. My conclusions are just that, mine. Don't expect or try and promote anybody to believe or disbelieve in anything that I say. They're just things that I like to sit and do. But I also understand that it can be very contentious. Wow, you lied to us. I know. I'm so sorry, Offspring. I'm disappointed in myself. I will spend many seconds at the end of here, you know, rebuking myself and just, yeah, I'll be inconsolable for at least 3 of those seconds, if that's any consolation to you. Despicable. Yes, despicable me. Let's have a look on the camera. That's coming along so well. So this area from the back up here, I don't believe that this is going to take me too long to do. I honestly believe, and I could be wrong, but I honestly believe that this section up here, when I get to this bit, it will be done in one stream. This bit, however, I think it's going to take slightly longer because there's quite a lot of changing. There's quite a lot of small bits in there. But if I had to say, right, I would say confidently there are 3 more streams on this. Yeah, it will fly by. Yeah. I'm confidently, I'm going to say that 3 more streams of this unicorn paint by numbers and we should be finished. 2, if I can manage it.